I'm Gohar. I live in Yerevan, Armenia. I have recently completed a Master of Science degree in Project Management. I was born here and I have left all my life here. Currently, I work as an audiovisual producer at the International Committee of the Red Cross delegation in Yerevan, and I'm responsible for digital communication as well as content production and promotion. I decided to study online because I didn't want to quit my job, and I also had a family, so I didn't want to leave my family and go study abroad. So doing a preliminary research into the universities that are offering online courses, my decision fell on the University of Essex Online because the best thing for me was the fact that the course was was led by very experienced personnel, and the fact that there were no exams and there was no dissertation, that there was no defense for dissertation, was quite appealing for me because studying online is could be quite an stressful experience, not even mentioning the fact that it might require more than you can give. But for me, it felt like really the best option. Also, I wanted to study project management. So drawing a comparison between different universities, I understood that the University of Essex was the best one because it had different modules that were of interest for me. And it wasn't barely concentrated on project management, but there was a good mixture of project analytics as well as broader organizational knowledge. For example, what is the organizational culture, what are the behaviors, the team management, also other aspects of the research methods, which was also interesting for me. So it was a good mixture of the academic rigor, but also discussions about the practical side of things. Studying online was definitely challenging for me. At times, I really needed to remind myself what was the motivation behind choosing to onboard this journey of gaining a master's degree. So at times I was very motivated and inspired, especially by the support that was given by the support team and also professors as well as class and team class members. But of course, having to work full-time and having family commitments and having to combine all this with online studies seemed very challenging at times. And here I had my family, my husband, who was always there to remind me why I chose the project management, to study project management, why I committed myself to almost 2 years of studying. So yeah, definitely it was challenging, but especially the most challenging for me was working on my dissertation research because it coincided, unfortunately, it coincided with the period where my country, where Armenia was affected by conflict escalation, by a severe conflict escalation. And this was the time I had to write my dissertation and have the most concentration on. Also, on the other hand, my organization was directly involved in the humanitarian response of the needs that arose as a consequence of the conflict escalation. So yeah, definitely for me it was not the most desirable time to work on my dissertation, but nevertheless I decided not to cancel it, not to postpone it, but I worked on it, especially that my dissertation research subject was exactly about what my organization was involved in, that was crisis response. But yes, when I was done with my master's degree, when I completed the degree and got a good mark for my dissertation, I was definitely, that was the happiest moments, one of the happiest moments in my life, when I had most of sense of fulfillment and achievement. Yeah, I was very, very happy. it really feels great having made of this journey. Um, I mean, at times I look back and I'm like, oh wow, I have committed myself to 1 year and 7 months of studying. I mean, I love studying, and this is not my first master's degree. This is already my second master's degree, but I loved it so much. I really loved that I was working parallel to studying, so I could compare the knowledge gained through my studies to the organizational environment I'm currently working in. So yeah, it was definitely a good experience for me, and now I feel like this is going to be a door to the next chapter in my life, because I currently want to shift my specialization to project management specifically. And I always go back to my books, to readings, to the good materials that were discovered on the way throughout the studying phase. And yeah, I feel like this knowledge is going to really help me to level up in my professional aspirations and achieve the goals that I'm working toward. I would definitely love to join on-campus graduation ceremony, because it's definitely going to feel different from online graduation. Just having, the bare fact that you stand in front of the building that is affiliated with with your degree, and having this sense of belonging to the university is definitely going to be very inspiring for me. So I would definitely want to join the graduation on campus. And if it's going to be possible due to COVID limitations, if at the time it's going to be possible, I would definitely invite my husband, who was with me throughout this journey. And he was the number one person who supported me throughout. For me, the most memorable, well, there are actually two. One I can highlight was studying about resistance as a phenomenon, as a very important phenomenon in organizational culture. Because when I discovered that there is such a thing as resistance, and that it can be of such a value to organizations, the whole world kind of changed its meaning for me. I mean, the way I behave in organization, I kind of understood that there is a point in questioning the status quo in the organization I work in. I started to realize that it should be valued. I mean, challenging things should be valued. It should be an asset to organizations, whereas on the contrary, it sometimes is viewed as a distraction. But yeah, it was a wholly different thing for me, discovering this organizational resistance thing. As a future project manager and a manager, I'm definitely going to use this as an asset in my daily management practice. And the second memorable thing for me was working with my research supervisor, who was a great professor with a very impressive experience. And I mean, the whole journey of writing, of working on my dissertation, of doing an actual research, of doing data collection, all this experience was very valuable for me. And this is not something that you do only for academic purposes only, but this is something that helps me to view different concepts in a way that was required. And here I'm referring to seeing the limitations of different things, being able to combine different views, to synthesize all these views, and then come up with your own view and standpoint to different things. So that was definitely like the second, for me, the most second memorable thing. So my dissertation research was about the barriers to successful implementation of Scrum project management methodology in humanitarian organizations during a crisis. And I did case study of my organization, of the International Committee of the Red Cross. And at the time I was working on my dissertation, my organization was involved in a conflict escalation. So it was a humanitarian crisis, and it was responding on daily basis. So yes, that was my was my dissertation paper was about, and I came up with different findings to the barriers. And currently, I'm thinking of how to make this more of a practical thing, how to share my findings with the organization, and how my findings could be helpful to the approval of some aspects of project management in my organization. Because I think that was the research is about. The gap between what academia knows and researches and what businesses and the organizations do should be reduced, so should be merged. I hope that my dissertation would be a step forward to this direction. My life definitely changed since I started my degree, in the sense that I had to limit myself in different pleasures in life. I mean, not being able to meet my family and friends very often, having to reduce the times I would go to a theater or some art event, which I really love doing. My sleep patterns have definitely changed. And the fact that it was online, so I could choose how and when I could study, for me, it was like a mixture of, doing reading while on my commute to work, or I travel a lot around Armenia, and I had to catch up with my studies with being engaged in discussion forums, almost at work, or I don't know, after work. It was, at times I was traveling for holidays, and I decided to choose between studying and then being able to also enjoy my holidays. It was a mixture of different things, of different experiences, different feelings. But I came out of it, and I'm really satisfied with with what I've achieved, because I really gained high marks, and I really demonstrated high level of engagement in the discussion forums, in the wider readings that I did. So I tried to gain the utmost from my experience. In the future, I hope my degree would help me to become an experienced project manager. Currently, I'm not in a managerial position, so I hope that my academic background will play a role when I apply to jobs that are recruiting project managers. And ideally, I would like to work in an art management organization, I think that is how my degree might help me. Actually, the pandemic helped me concentrate more on my studies, because everyone was staying in, including myself, and I had more time for myself, for my studies, for reading. So it might sound surprising, but the pandemic really helped me to stay inside and concentrate more on my studies. And also the fact that it wasn't only me who was suffering of the inability to go out, but everyone else in the world. That was really good. Because it's one thing when your friends go out and invite you, but you can't go. And it's a totally different thing when no one can go and you're like, yes, everything is like, it's frank, it's fair. Everyone is inside, I'm staying inside, so I'm reading, and it's cool. Thinking ahead and trying to give a piece of advice to students who are thinking of studying online, I would say know why you are. Sorry, can I can I repeat that? Um, Thinking ahead of and trying to share a piece of advice with students who might be thinking to join online studies, I would say, know why are you deciding to study? Because this why thing is going to help you throughout your experience, throughout your journey. Because if you know why you are doing what you're doing, then you're never going to have doubts, never going to have hesitations, lack of motivation. And I hope that this why thing would help you to achieve your goal and gaining a master's degree.